Before we jump into this episode, I want to remind you that while Caitlin and Sophia are dietitians, we're not your dietitians. This means the information shared in the Food Freedom Fertility podcast is intended to entertain, educate, and inform. It is not a substitute for medical care. This information is not intended to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your doctor before making any changes.
Welcome to another episode of the Food, Freedom, and Fertility podcast. We are your hosts, Sophia Pavia, me, registered dietitian nutritionist specializing in women's fertility health, as well as in making enough progesterone so that you can get pregnant, stay pregnant, and bring home your healthy baby. And of course, my co-host and best friend, Caitlin Johnson, also a registered dietitian nutritionist specializing in women's fertility health. But she is also a specialist in PCOS, getting pregnant with this diagnosis where so many women are told there's no hope for you. Caitlin is out there fighting the good fight and giving so much hope to so many because she is the PCOS wizard. P.S. There's also going to be a book coming out later that she's been writing. We've been sort of teasing that. So soon to say also author in this intro. So we are here today. Just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
This is our season closer. This is our last episode of this season. I'm about to have a baby. Caitlin's about to have a brainchild.
I don't know what I'm about to have.
That will be coming out in between now and our next season, most likely. And we're just tying a bow on the season with an episode that I hope is really applicable and helpful to you. We are titling this 5 Things to Do Before IVF. So this is not a 5 things to do to avoid IVF. I mean, maybe as you do these 5 things, IVF will become no longer a mandatory part of your baby's story. But these are the 5 things to do if you are staring down the barrel of doing some IVF. And it could be really challenging because I know none of you arrive at this place where you're wanting to consider IVF flippantly. You're not there because you have all the time in the world and you just want to try everything. It's always that. I mean, always, at least the people I've worked with, you're sort of backed into a corner where you feel like it's either this or nothing. It's either this or no baby. And we want you to say, okay, it could be this or no baby. These are the 5 things we need to tick off our list before we jump into an IVF cycle to make sure that we are ready for this and our bodies are going to respond as good as possible to give us the best possible outcome. That's what this episode is.
Yeah. I feel like most people will have thought, okay, they're going to say, talk to your OB, try letrozole, do IUI, stop drinking alcohol. I don't know, some other random one. I think you're going to be surprised.
Get your vitamin D tested.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That it's not necessarily like the 5 medical interventions to try necessarily. Like there's more to this than just what your doctor can offer you. And I think that that's something to really think about and kind of shift perspective on. And if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that Soph and I are all about empowering you with education, how to advocate for yourself, that it's not just like a medical doctor world that I feel like maybe my mother-in-law grew up in, where like you go to the doctor and they have the answers. You go to the doctor and they give you the medicine and then the thing happens and you're better. You have a lot of agency in your reproductive and fertility health, and so does your partner. And there's a lot that you can do to optimize your own fertility before you're even trying to get pregnant, or even if you have been trying for a while, there's still probably things that need to be explored before you make the time, emotional, and financial investment that IVF requires. So yeah, let's jump into it.
All right. Well, one of the first things that we recommend is going to be no surprise, but it's sort of a different twist on what your doctor might have said to you. Most likely what you hear when you go to the doctor and say, I want to have a baby, is they will tell you, okay, don't use any kind of pregnancy prevention and try for a year and then come back if you're not pregnant and we'll talk about fertility options. And we're going to twist that into something that's actually much more applicable and important. And that is, you need to confirm ovulation and that you've timed sex well. So you've definitely had sperm and egg together for 12 tries before going into IVF.
If you're under 35.
If you're under 35, if you don't have like a known problem, like this is just for the people who, the average Jane listening. Obviously, if you know you have a medical condition, you need to be treating that medical condition. That's actually one of the steps we're going to talk about here. But yes, if you have like a known thing, and they say, if you're under 35, it's not like your fertility hits a brick wall when you hit 35. Okay. So like use your judgment on this as well. Don't let your age of 35 mean you're going to rush into things prematurely. Yeah. There's not like an abyss that your body falls and your ovaries don't like shrivel up and fall out like the day you turn 35. The medical world just sort of has to draw a line somewhere. And so 35 is sort of where they've drawn this line that if you're over 35, 6 months is more appropriate before moving on to something more more
medicalized. I mean, I think that's just a way of saying it.
But really what we want you to do, what we want to make sure we're doing is that sperm and egg have every chance to get together. You know you're ovulating. You have seen your BBT rise. You have done the progesterone blood draws. You have seen the cervical mucus. You have seen the changes in your vagina, in your libido, in your breasts, in your brain, in your body. You know what ovulation looks like in your body, and you have been with your partner within the fertile window 12 times. So that's really, really, really important because so many people are just like looking at an app and saying like, oh, well, my period ended 8 days ago, so I'm likely ovulating now. Or if they're even doing that much, or they're just saying, well, we're just having sex, as much as we can, and we'll see, that's what trying looks like for us. What we need is for ovulation to be confirmed and sperm to have been in your reproductive tract at the time of that confirmed ovulation. Because ovulation and whether or not you're ovulating is such a vital sign to your fertility that if that is not happening, it means other things need to be worked on. And IVF is likely not going to be super successful for you if you're already just not ovulating regularly. For some people, it's like, well, I'm not ovulating regularly no matter what I do. So IVF is my only option because I have already done all the things to try to ovulate. And that's the reason I'm even here. That's not who I'm talking to right now. I'm talking to people that can work on the stuff that gets them ovulating regularly and making sure that sperm and egg are together, because we got to kind of bust this myth. We're going to have this a few times throughout this episode that it just takes one. You just need one sperm. You just need one egg, and that's going to make a baby. It's just not reality, because not every egg is a queen. Not every egg has what it takes to make a baby. Not every sperm has what it takes to make a baby. And unless we are talking about inner cytoplasmic sperm injection, where they're taking one sperm and shooting it directly into an egg, you don't need just one sperm. You actually need hundreds of millions. And so that's really not true. And we need to give sperm and egg time together over many cycles before moving on to something like IVF. Because sometimes the two get together and they just miss each other. Sometimes the two get together and can't quite make it happen. Sometimes the two get together and immediately the genetics are just not right and it just never goes anywhere beyond that point. There are a lot of things that can happen just in nature. This is what we see all the time. I mean, even farmers who are like growing corn can tell you, like, we took the pollen, we put it on the thing, and even then it didn't grow a corn. We had to do this on like multiple corn flowers before we got viable corn. This is just the way reproduction happens across all species. And that 12 cycles, again, we just sort of have to pick a number, right? If you're at 10 cycles and you're like, ugh, I can't do this anymore, I just know in my bones something is wrong. Or if you're at 12 and you're like, yeah, but I've been making so many changes lately, I think I want to give this at least 15 or 16. You get to decide. These numbers are not laws. This is just, we had to, sort of make a marker somewhere, and 1 year is generally believed to be, if you got sperm and egg together for 12 ovulations and there still hasn't been a pregnancy, this is time to get extra help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have literally nothing to add to that. You covered that point really well. I guess maybe the one caveat, and you alluded to this, is don't just think because you're getting a period and the app told you ovulated, that you ovulated, or that you ovulated when the app actually says you've ovulated. Sophia and I have spent probably like days, if you add up all the time we spent looking at people's different ovulation and cycle charts. I mean, so much data. And these apps work off algorithms that are generic and not specific to you. And they're probably not in the like perfect ballpark. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're not. We know the research actually even shows that they don't accurately predict your ovulation. So it's important that you have data to say, I am ovulating. I am not only ovulating, but we've timed sex well. I have such a great example of this, actually. I have a client right now who's using Temp Drop. Shout out to our sponsors. So we know when her temperature goes up and she has PCOS, and has reliably seen ovulation over the last like 5 to 6 cycles. It's been somewhat consistent around like the right day. She sees fertile cervical mucus. So not only does she have the app confirming when she ovulates, but she also has the data from her body that it's revving up and ready to ovulate. And we were talking about a month and a half ago, and she was like kind of frustrated because she's like, if I go off of the last few months, I'm going to ovulate like sometime this weekend. And my husband's out of town for work. And she was so bummed. She's like, we tried before he left, but if it goes the way I think it's going to go, like I mean, we're going to miss the window. And sure enough, like I see her weekly. The next week, she's like, do you know what, Caitlin? My temperature didn't go up till Tuesday. He came back Monday, and I was supposed to see my temp rise by Sunday if it like followed the pattern, but my temp didn't rise till Tuesday. So we had sex Monday. So we have like one chance. We have one chance to get pregnant this cycle. And what do you know? She literally last week sent me a picture of a little yolk sac, a little heartbeat. And
oh my gosh, the best!
So exciting. But you know what? She had data. She knew that she had been having sex within her fertile window and hadn't gotten pregnant. She knew she was almost going to miss it if the pattern was the same. And they could have given up. But Monday morning when she woke up, there was no temperature spike. And so she rightly so said, hey, let's have sex to make sure, because maybe I didn't ovulate like I thought I was going to. And having the temp drop, she saw the spike the next morning. So she knew that they at least had a chance. And there's good data showing that the day before ovulation is kind of your highest chance of getting pregnant. It's not your only chance, but I just thought that was such an interesting example of like the data really driving decisions. And thank God, because there's a baby in that belly right now, growing, heart beating. The best.
It's what we live for over here, truly.
Yeah, it's been good. It's also an example, I love this gal, of kind of like trying to control all the things to try and make like everything perfect so that I can get pregnant. And I don't think she would mind me sharing this. None of this is HIPAA. So, I mean, you know, she's a female with PCOS. You know that's who I treat. So no surprise there. I feel like she was a great example of I'm going to do everything I can, but until I started working with Caitlin, TikTok was my, like, I learned everything I knew from TikTok, good and bad. Good being like she learned about inositol and she learned about temp drop and she learned about that you could track your cycle. She didn't know that beforehand. But there were also like buckets worth of products to throw away because
that's the worst part.
And it's a trap, guys. It's like this is not on the list. Go buy every supplement that some influencer says is going to work for your fertility because it works for them.
Vagina to measure your cervical mucus, or some sticker you put on your phone to block the EMFs, or it's unending.
Yeah, I mean, she's just such a great example of that. And also, this rings true a little bit personally, but like as soon as she was pregnant, the anxiety was like the same level, if not more, because it was like, is this baby going to make it? And she's had one lost before. And so she was like, you know, basically like every day an email, can I drink this tea? Can I do this? Because she's just so concerned. And
I relate to that greatly.
I relate to it. So, you know, if you end up tracking your cycle and you do get pregnant with that and you don't need IVF, or if you do, get yourself a good mental health provider because this road is hard. Whether like this is your story or not, like this is a hard road you're walking if you're even listening to this podcast. And I think we all deserve that type of support with our mental health because it impacts so much in our life, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Really for her.
Oh my gosh.
Poster child. Get off TikTok. Get a mental health provider.
Yes.
Your life could change with those two statements.
With those two statements, yes. Or put your limits on your social media exposure and get yourself a good therapist to help you navigate some of this. And don't expect a pregnancy to be a mental health treatment, because it isn't. If you were anxious before you got pregnant, you're going to be anxious while you're pregnant, and probably even more so.
And
if you
once
were
your baby
depressed
comes
before, you're going to keep being depressed. Mm-hmm. In fact, pregnancy sort of makes it to where there's like less tools in the toolbox even, because, you know, like me in my first trimester, I rely heavily on exercise for my mental health. But when your head's in the toilet and you can't just peel yourself up out of bed because you're so pregnant, nauseous, sick, exhausted, that 5-mile run that you like to hit every morning to clear your head, that's not going to happen. So that tool is not there for you anymore. And so it can make it even harder. But moving on, our topic of things to do before IVF. The second point that I wanted to make on here, I guess these are in sort of like no particular order. So I'm going to actually switch up. I give Caitlin like a little list. And the next one that I want to say is both partners are treating known medical conditions. So this is things like
blood
insulin
pressure
resistance, thyroid problems, cholesterol issues, blood pressure problems. This is things like blood clotting problems.
Mental health disorders.
Oh, there you go. Mental health disorders. You are actively treating, and I would say in a stable place with your known medical conditions, or at least, as close to that as you can get. But that is such a big one because pregnancy is going to put a lot of demand on your body. And so if you think that your blood pressure problem, your cholesterol problem, your thyroid problem, whatever medical condition you're living with isn't going to be a barrier because now you're doing IVF, so it just sort of doesn't matter, and we'll just shove embryos into that uterus until one of them works. This is part of why we see such poor pregnancy outcomes with IVF. This is part of why we see increased risk to baby after birth. We're seeing, a lot more complications during birth. Like, part of this is we're not treating the known medical conditions, because I don't want this to feel like a dig at you, but like, I actually hear this a lot, is people being like, I don't have time. I have to be pregnant now. And so they're like, I'm not going to be working on my cholesterol and my blood pressure and my weight and my insulin resistance. No, I need to be pregnant now. So I'm going to do this and I'll deal with my health and stuff postpartum, which, as somebody that's gone through postpartum twice, maybe 3 times, if you count the baby that we lost and the recovery that came after that, I sort of want to laugh and be like, oh, you think that's when your health is just going to sprout right up? No. That's when it's like the most difficult. That's when you're really paying the man for what's going on in your body health-wise.
And I think this for your partner too. Like I was just visiting cousins that, that comment was made that I think we're done with 2 because postpartum like rocks my husband as hard as it rocks me. And the sleeplessness and the extra pressure, you're working and taking care of your wife that just pushed a baby out of her vagina or is recovering from a surgery, and you've got this new life you're taking care of, and your marriage feels different, and your everything. And now you need to have time to like go do the cardiologist and do a stress test. And like, it's not a time that gets more simple. It's a time that feels higher stakes for everyone. And now is the time. Like if we're talking about it and there's something that you're like, man, I probably should take care of that weird fungus infection on my foot or
my plantar fasciitis that keeps me from being able to walk miles and miles. Like, you need to be able to walk when you're pregnant. You need to be able to walk freshly postpartum. And this goes for the partners too. If your partner has undiagnosed sleep apnea and you hear him choking to death every night while he's sleeping, this is something that has to get addressed. If your partner is 40 pounds overweight and is drinking a 6-pack every weekend, this is something that needs to get addressed. These are things that a 6-pack every weekend, this is obviously not somebody that's got like a drinking problem, but this is like, an unhealthy habit that's contributing to overall poor metabolic function and likely poor fertility function. But I'm talking about like the known issues that I have people be like, I just don't want to deal with that. I need to be pregnant now. That's the wrong attitude. And IVF is not going to work the way you think it will work in that situation. It is not going to make you any healthier. In fact, we see that there's actually health detriment to the medications, the process in general of IVF, and all the things that come after. So we need to get as healthy as we can before undergoing this. And this is not to say if you have a disability, if you have a chronic illness, that there's really no like cure or like treatment. You're already doing all you can and you're still having eczema or, whatever it is that you've got going on. This is not to say like, well, then no baby for you, disqualified. We just need this to be in as good a place as we can get it, managed and treated as good as it can before going into this situation, whether that means different medication, different lifestyle, different things. Known medical conditions need to be treated. And this is even, I mean, my own life right here, you guys. I am 37 weeks pregnant today. So I am considered early term. So I'm right in the window where my baby could be born at any time. And it's even making it to where, like, my husband tore some ligaments in his ankle long ago when he was like first in the Navy, and he's just operated with torn ligaments
issues?
in his ankle for years.
Wow.
And but it's kind of at this place now where it's like when he wears the brace, that helps with the ligament thing, but then it's like more stress on like the Achilles and causing pain there. But then when he doesn't wear the brace, he has to compensate more with this part of his leg, and so then that starts getting like a tendonitis kind of thing, and it's like one thing or the other. And he loves to work out. This is like his mental health thing for him too. But we're at a point where like I could have this baby any day. And so I'm like, hey, brother, I need you fit for full. So you can't go for your mental health run and come back and need to be hobbling, because like I need you potentially able to throw me over your shoulder and like carry me or be up all night doing everything, or like
I could see him do that
I could see him doing that too. But like you need to be ready to rock. I can't have you be like, oh, I can't really be there for you in a full capacity when you're in labor because my foot is hurting so much and I can't really be in this position or that position. Like things that can be treated need to be treated, even down to the level of like, well, I've sort of had this weird knee thing for years that I haven't really wanted to address, but now I want to get pregnant. Like, well, you're going to need to deal with the knee thing because you need your knees while you're carrying a baby.
Sophia and I are so proud to be sponsored by TempDrop. TempDrop is a fertility sensor that you wear on your arm while you sleep, and it has a companion app on your smartphone that you can sync those temperatures with each day. That way you can track your cycle and know your own body while you're tracking your fertility trying to conceive. This is an incredible tool. It's one of the first things I like to recommend to new clients. And if you're listening to this podcast and trying to conceive, consider yourself one and head over to tempdrop.com. One of the reasons why I love this brand and this company so much is how value driven they are. It was born out of a husband and wife trying to conceive and trying to figure out basal body temping and making it easier, and in alignment with that value of making this information more accessible, they have just decided to lower their price. And in a landscape where everything is getting more expensive, I love that this company is making a bold move to make this product and this technology more accessible to women. So the new base price of this model is $189. This is incredible. You can even use our code FFF10 to get 10% off this new lower price. So head to our show notes or to tempdrop.com, grab yourself your fertility monitor, choose the size that you need, throw that code into the checkout area, and get tracking your basal body temperature today. We are taking a break from the episode, and I want to chat with you a little bit about Fertility Cloud. If you've been told you need help ovulating, or you have PCOS and you're trying to figure out your next fertility step, I want to tell you about Fertility Cloud. They make fertility care simple, transparent, and affordable, especially when it comes to ovulation stimulation and ovulation induction treatments. Instead of waiting for months to see a fertility specialist or getting hit with surprise bills, Fertility Cloud lists every price clearly right on their website. You'll see exactly what you're getting into and exactly what it costs. No hidden clinic fees, no surprise invoices later. For my PCOS clients, this is huge. Their ovulation stimulation program can help jumpstart ovulation safely at home with physician guidance and medications delivered directly to you. You can do it all virtually, no driving to clinics or sitting in waiting rooms, and you can often even get appointments same day. If you're wondering, how do we do ultrasounds or what about lab draws? Don't worry, their concierge service helps determine where you can do that locally to you and coordinates with you on your behalf. It's just amazing. And here's the best part. If you're ready to take that next step, you can click the link in our show notes and get $50 off your first appointment. That means you get right in front of a fertility specialist for $115. That first visit gets you matched with a fertility doctor who actually understands your needs, and you'll walk away with a clear plan for your next cycle. So head to the link in our show notes, book your appointment, save $50 on your first Fertility Cloud visit, because fertility care should be transparent, affordable, and built for you.
So treating known medical conditions, even things that you think might not be directly fertility related, like your plantar fasciitis, like your sleep problems, your sleep apnea, your snoring, your chronic sinus issues, whatever it is that you've got going on. If you want IVF to be successful, if you want to get the maximum amount of healthy embryos ready for you and your family, if you want those embryos to implant and grow and result in a healthy baby to keep, your health, your partner's overall health are so paramount, vital, unavoidable in this process. So I guess this is also a statement of saying, if you think IVF is going to be your way around dealing with your health issues so that you can just get pregnant now, nay, that's not going to work. That's not going to be how this goes. And you do need to work on your own known health issues before going into IVF, even the things you think might not be very related to your fertility health.
I think this is a great segue into, not only are we optimizing known medical conditions and diagnoses, but also jumping into metabolic health. So when you think about how well I said that kind of funny, also optimizing metabolic health. So thinking about like your weight, your energy efficiency, your insulin resistance. I think that oftentimes we just think about our weight going into pregnancy and how much weight we want to be at pregnancy. There's so much more that matters when we're talking about metabolic health, and not just for the person trying to get pregnant. Like your partner's metabolic health will really impact the health of your pregnancy and the health of your children. And so optimizing these things pre-pregnancy and really to improve your chances of getting pregnant, whether improving these things actually helps you get pregnant on your own or you do need to move on to IVF. We see better outcomes in IVF when people have better overall metabolic health. And I mean, this is kind of our soapbox, I think, wouldn't you agree,
Yeah,
Soph, where it's
definitely.
like metabolic health is critical. And I think in our last episode, kind of defining metabolism and talking about energy in, energy out, efficiencies there, how we blend into inefficiencies with over dieting. When we're talking about improving metabolic health, it's not just about losing weight or not just about improving insulin resistance. It's about increasing your lean muscle mass. It's about making sure you have some, what's the word? Aerobic ability. Like, do your lungs work well to transfer oxygen to your red blood cells?
Does your heart work well? Can you do the things that are going to be required of you in parenthood? I mean, that's so important. But beyond that, I mean, we hear metabolic health. Automatically, people think healthy weight, be at a healthy weight, be at a healthy weight. And for some of us, that is so unattainable. Like, you've worked so hard. I have met so many couples, women especially, that are like, My breakfast is 2 whole eggs with extra egg whites and some fruit. My lunch is a chicken thigh with avocado and asparagus. My snack is carrots and hummus, and then my dinner is salmon and broccoli, and then my treat at the end of the night is 1 square of dark chocolate. And when I look at it, I'm like, this girl is hitting every macro. She is right where her calories need to be. She is eating a super nutritious diet. She's exercising, she's moving, she's 50 pounds overweight, and the scale is not budging. That's not what we're talking about. I am not saying you have to lose those 50 pounds in order to get pregnant. And I want to say this goes the other way as well. For the muscle mommies who are super lean, who have very little body fat, these things are not working for you the way that you think they are. And getting some more fat on your body is actually more metabolically healthy than where you are right now, being super duper lean and super duper muscular. Because I know some of you are listening to this and you're like, can I do the demands of motherhood? Please. I put a 50-pound sandbag on my back and ran up a hill 10 times today. I can absolutely do that. And while that's great that you have that capacity, and that is so important, are you in a place where you're overstressed, underfed, underrested, without enough body fat? Women especially, we need a little body fat in order to support a pregnancy. Not everybody. There are obviously people out there that get pregnant naturally and you can see their abs, before and after. It's just really not the norm. That's just not what a most fertile body often looks like. And so while there are people that can get pregnant in both sides of the spectrum, the gal that's 100 pounds overweight, the girl that's way underweight, people in your life that are like, oh, well, they got pregnant. Well, we're not talking about them. We're talking about the person that's about to do IVF. That's who we're talking about.
Right.
The person who's about to do IVF needs optimal metabolic health, whether that's the direction of more lean muscle mass or less, whether that's the direction of more exercise or less, whether that's the direction of more aerobic capacity for your heart and lungs, or stop stressing them out all the live long day. Take a couple extra rest days this week and cut back on your sandbag runs.
Right. There are labs that can tell you that metabolic health can be optimized, but I would argue that most people could pay a little attention to this, check in with an expert, and see massive gains in their metabolic health with just even sometimes small tweaks. But certainly if we're seeing high inflammation markers in your lab, so things like HSCRP being high, homocysteine being high, interleukin-6 being high, if we're seeing signs of metabolic health that have trickled into like legitimate metabolic syndrome, and now we're talking about maybe a known diagnosis, but high cholesterol, liver enzymes being high fasting glucose, insulin, A1C, calculating your HOMA-IR. I think that we can see the fingerprints of this not only in how you feel, but also definitely in lab work as well. I would argue too that as we're talking about like known medical conditions and metabolic health, that really zeroing in on thyroid health too, specifically, we know that that can really impact fertility, can also impact miscarriage risk, and should be something that your physicians that are recommending IVF should have thoroughly assessed and helped you with. That was a really big piece of a recent client of mine who was told IVF was the next step, and her TSH was like borderline, but we did a thorough panel and her T4 was in the dumps. She wasn't making enough thyroid hormone to even convert to T3, but her TSH just wasn't firing to say, get more.
Yeah.
So, and thyroid's a huge piece of metabolic health. So, it kind of like, I feel like it's the other side of the same coin on one hand, but you are going into one of the most physically demanding and challenging things your body will ever do: conceiving, carrying a pregnancy, delivering a baby, and recovering in postpartum and breastfeeding. Like it is a huge amount of effort and work. Your metabolism matters, and not just like, oh, we want you to lose weight so that you get pregnant, let's optimize your metabolism. Like, your breaking apart of food and digestion matters. Your accessing nutrients and delivering them throughout your body matters. Your oxygen exchange capacity matters. All of these things can help or make pregnancy really hard. And as we always say, it's not just about getting pregnant here. We're looking for you being healthy and vital and
a healthy mom to care for this wonderful baby, a baby that's healthy and gets to come home and live with you and grow up to be an adult. That's what we're all working towards. Okay, I have a story now about a client of mine when it comes to optimizing or treating known medical conditions. Okay, she didn't have a known medical condition. She had a suspicion that the breast implants that she had gotten earlier in life were not meshing well with her body. She had no pain. She had no illness markers. There was nothing going on. We did run some blood work on her and saw that her HSCRP was super duper high, while some of her iron markers were really, really low. And that's like a classic inflammation picture right there. Your body does not want to have high iron and high inflammation at the same time. And so this was just a classic, what is causing all this inflammation? And she was just like, man, I've sort of had this little bee buzzing in my ear for the past probably 5 years that these implants I got are just maybe driving some of this. Again, no pain, no symptoms, I have heard of people getting seriously severe breast implant illness. They are exhausted. They are having fevers. They are having major psychiatric issues. Like, I have seen this happen. This gal's having zippy zap, nothing, just a hunch that maybe these implants aren't helping her. So she decides to go get them taken out. And the surgeon was like, wow, they were in great shape. Like, nothing was like leaking or ruptured or anything like that. But the area of her body that was in contact with the implant inside her body was very red and inflamed.
Wow.
And so for some reason, even though these implants for most people don't cause a lot of issues, for some folks, they really, really do. And she was someone who we were seeing downstream inflammation problems from the implant that she got when she was like, 21, and was just like, wanted to look different. And so she went and got these. Now that she's older, they were just really not working for her anymore. And there was no symptoms. She just sort of knew instinctually something about these is causing a problem. And, it was causing a ton of inflammation. And of course, we're sort of looking at like a chicken or the egg scenario. Like, does she have an inflammatory condition that's bothering the implant, or is the implant causing the inflammatory condition? We don't know. But it's just something I wanted to put out there as far as like known medical conditions / your metabolic health. Things like this can really be causing a lot of issues. I mean, even like tooth problems, or like, you have like gums. Truly, with this gal, I was like, okay, now we know that you don't do well with implants. So I need you to carry this into the rest of your life. If, she has like a very active job and like works with livestock and stuff. Like, if you're to break a bone, you need options other than let's put a bunch of hardware in there. If you bust a tooth, I don't know, any kind of thing in the next 60 years that you'll be alive, you are someone that foreign materials implanted in your body really aren't going to be the way. And so you got to know this about yourself and communicate this to people should this be something that you need down the line.
We're going to take a break from this episode to hear about one of our sponsors. You've probably heard me say this before, but preparing your body for pregnancy is not just about you. It's about both of you. Fertility is truly a team effort, and that's why I love the Fullwell Fertility Trio for Two. Fullwell was founded by a fellow registered dietitian and fertility expert, Ayla Barmer, and this bundle was designed to support both partners in the months leading up to conception. It combines their top-rated prenatal vitamin, omega-3 fish oil, and a fertility booster supplement that covers things like CoQ10, N-acetylcysteine, alpha-lipoic acid, and organic ashwagandha root extract. The nutrients here support overall egg quality, sperm health, fertility, and even your stress resilience. If your partner's semen analysis looks normal, or if it's suboptimal and we need to improve things, nutrition plays a key role for things like sperm motility, count, and DNA quality. For women, these same nutrients help with ovulation, egg development, and healthy hormone balance, not to mention mitochondrial support, which is a huge piece of how your gametes mature and get ready to be that queen egg or that king sperm that make it to combining to form an embryo. These things are foundational for a strong, healthy pregnancy. I personally love that Fullwell's formulas are third-party tested, they're evidence-based, and made with doses that actually match what the research shows we need. No fluff, no underdosing. So if you're planning to start trying this winter or sometime in 2026, or you've been trying to conceive for a while, it's time to think about starting to nourish your bodies for what's ahead, or take a step up from your current protocol to one that is high quality. Head to fullwellfertility.com and use the code FFF20 for 20% off your order. That's FFF20 at checkout. I'll drop the link in the show notes for this specific fertility trio bundle and for Fullwell, along with this code FFF20. Give yourself and your future family the best foundation with Fullwell's Fertility Trio for Two.
Back to just metabolic health. This is not just talking about weight. This is talking about your overall ability to burn calories and live. Like, that's really what metabolic health is. We want your insulin looking really good. We want your blood sugar looking really good. We want your liver enzymes looking really good. We want your kidney function looking good. We want your overall inflammation looking good, or whatever looking good would be like for you. Like, I've had patients that have had liver transplants. Are we ever going to have a liver looking good on that gal? Like, probably not, like, it's never going to look great. She's always going to have issues. Praise God, she's alive and she wants to try to get pregnant. And so, like, you know what? Hell yeah to you. This is your life. You got a second chance with this beautiful donation, and you want to live it to the fullest, rock on. But, she's never going to have like the picture perfect liver health, but whatever picture is best optimal health, for her situation. That's what we're talking about here with you. And, this is all the things we harp on here. Are you sleeping well? Are you exercising regularly? Are you fueling your body with nutritious foods at regular intervals? Are you avoiding the things that we know can make fertility worse? This is like cannabis, vaping, nicotine, highly processed foods, sugar-sweetened beverages, alcohol. Like, are you living that life? Just because you're about to do IVF does not mean, well, then all of my body's health doesn't matter because this is just going to get me pregnant. So I don't need to do.
So the opposite, actually. If you've struggled to get pregnant naturally, then something is wrong. Is that overcomable? Your tubes are blocked. Okay, well, we've talked with people that have different approaches to that outside of IVF. But even if your tubes are blocked, why are they blocked? Is there crazy estrogen issues and endometriosis and
inflammation and infection that hasn't been detected and treated?
exactly. So, infertility rates are rising, but they're not rising like willy-nilly. There's reasons. Our diet, our exposure to chemicals, our waiting till later in life to try and have children. I mean, Soph and I both have had our kids like in our 30s.
Yeah.
That's not, if she and I had married up and started having babies in our 20s, our stories may have looked different.
Yeah, could be.
It
could be.
Could be. I don't know.
We both
can't go
have
back.
progressive chronic diseases. So PCOS is a progressive chronic disease if untreated. So, endometriosis is a progressive chronic disease if untreated. And so we both have these things, and yeah, it's who knows?
So, I trying to get pregnant in my 30s. I mean, I would argue I was really at the top of my PCOS management game, but there were times in my early 20s that my period was regular. I wasn't tracking ovulation.
Yeah, but it's more like, imagine if you were doing the work that you did in your 30s in the body that was only 22.
Right.
The fertility results that we would have seen.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, there are things there, and I think this is also why IVF becomes such a frustrating solution, because you've tried everything and you end up with like an unexplained infertility diagnosis. And what you're being told is IVF's really the only thing that's going to work for you because we haven't figured out what's wrong with you. And we're not oftentimes looking closely enough at the next two things that we're going to chat about, which is sperm health. And I say we do that one first, and we'll come back to the last
do
one.
Sperm health first, and then end with the lower the boom on everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do the boom.
Okay, well, that leads us to number 4, thing to do before you do IVF. And this is butting right up against that rumor that it just takes one sperm. No, you need to be optimizing sperm health going into IVF. Absolutely. So this involves everything that we just talked about, really. I mean, I guess it doesn't, trying for 12 cycles doesn't apply, but dealing with known medical conditions. My guy, are you waking up the neighborhood with your snoring? Are you a chainsaw going through a lead pipe every night when you go to sleep? This needs to get addressed. This is impacting your sperm health. Are you drinking 400 milligrams of caffeine and popping Zins all day? This is affecting your sperm health. Are you consuming alcohol? This is impacting your sperm health. And I'm not saying everybody has to quit alcohol forever. But if you're about to, go do IVF, yeah, you know what? You do need to be 3 months booze-free before you go into that. That's pretty mandatory. Are you using other drugs? Cannabis, salvia, cocaine? I don't know what you guys are up to.
Are you using testosterone?
No, but really, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Are you using hormone injections?
If you're using testosterone and you're having a hard time conceiving, that's like male birth control. It's crushing your testicular health and your ability to make sperm. But I mean, the other sides of this too, those are the obvious, like, we all know there's like known vices and like not helping anyone with their health. But there are things like testosterone that people think this is actually really improving my health. Mm-hmm. So another thing I would add to that list is, are you playing sports or endurance sports where your nuts are crunched up against your body in compression shorts and out in the hot sun? So like bicycling, mountain biking, road biking, where your privates are smushed in between you and a bike seat with the hot sun beating down on them for hours. This is something that's going to negatively impact your ability to make healthy sperm. Are you in the sauna frequently? Are your nuts exposed to a lot of heat? This is something that people are like, this is so healthy. getting in the sauna. And there are health benefits and mental health benefits to things like saunas. There really aren't male fertility benefits to using the sauna. And if that's something that you want to do, you need to really limit your time in there. You need to watch the temperature, and you maybe even need to bring like a cool
ice in
pack for your testicles while you're in there. I'm not
how
going to say like it
relaxing
needs
would
to
that
be ice, but like
how
it
relaxing.
needs to be
my cojones on ice and then to try and sit in a warm oven. That actually sounds like torture to me.
It does, but people think this is like healthy. I don't know. No, it's not. Your nightly hot tub, you're soaking in the Epsom salt bath. Like these are things that pretty much anyone would say this is really healthy. And I mean, it is in comparison to other things. Like if you were unwinding with a bottle of red wine every night and you switched that to an Epsom salt bath, like I think that maybe would have definite health benefits, but just not necessarily sperm in particular. They're just tender little guys. Mm-hmm. They can't be exposed to much at all. So that's really something to consider is the type of clothing that you're wearing. Can your boys swing free? Are you doing stuff where it's just like super duper hot and your nuts are crunched up against your body? Because even if it's hot, like my husband, for instance, works in the desert and it can be 120 degrees and he'll be out there for 18 hours. Like there's no avoiding that, but we're certainly not having underwear that are smushing his testicles up against his body during that time if we can help it. And
I think there's also kind of like a weird, maybe this isn't talked about very much, but like we talk about your type of underwear when we talk about like boxers versus briefs, right? Mm-hmm. So my husband has a new favorite type of underwear that my mother-in-law gave him, and they're like supposedly rated to last forever. And I can't even remember the name of the store that they're from, but my father-in-law started liking them. The thought of my father-in-law in boxers makes me want to puke right now. But the point of this is,
sorry, Mark,
these underwear that last forever. What are they made of? What? Right. Oh, polyester,
plastic.
Oh, some like fake, like 3 steps away from when it was just plastic, and
margarine.
They're like cooling this and that. I mean, like. It's basically
memory foam underpants.
Yeah, right. Like it's like the Lululemon and Spanx issues that we had a couple years ago in female clothing is really like what he has right up next to his most important part of his body for fertility.
I actually threw away 2 pairs of my husband's underwear yesterday. And some socks.
Because they didn't last forever
shorts.
Because they were made out of plastic.
Because they didn't last forever. And the part right where the nuts go was ripped open. Why are these here?
They don't serve a purpose anymore.
And I get up before the rest of my family to go work out almost every morning. And so I like to set my workout clothes outside my bedroom door. So I'm not like rummaging around before dawn, waking up
making
my husband.
A big old noise. Yeah.
Yeah. So I forgot to put socks in my little pile of workout clothes, but we had clean clothes in the dryer. So I was like, why don't I dig around in there and see if I've got some socks? They were my husband's socks in there. So I put these things on. Oh my God. The elastic was like so loose. It was just like,
wasn't even a sock.
It was not even a sock.
A slipper.
It was like a hollow sheath of cotton. It was so bad. And so I was like, oh my gosh, bro, what have you been doing? Like he works so hard and we are not wealthy, but my God, can we afford socks? So I just was like, I gathered all the crap socks and I threw them all away. And I was like, I am buying you new socks right now. And I asked one of my friends who's like sort of, fashionable and athletic. He's a dude. What are your favorite everyday wear socks? And he was like, oh, you got to get the Vans. They're double line, this and that. And I was like, done. But got him. My husband's like, I really wish you would have asked me about this purchase. we're doing it. And I came home and I was like, honey, this is like socks, like so basic. Like all right, I get it. Before we make purchases, we want to clear them with each other. That's a fine principle. But like you need everyday items.
Do you need me to call you if we're out of eggs? Like you need socks,
toothpaste, a new deodorant, like you know these basic things that a human being operates in the dimensions of our world. So so yesterday I threw away more of those crappy socks, 2 pairs of his underwear that had rip right in the ball sack area, and a pair of shorts that were absolutely hideous that I hated. They were like knee-length cargo shorts. Come on, dork-tastic.
Please.
Thankfully, he had spilled spaghetti sauce down the front of them, and they did not come out of the washer.
Maybe I should do that to BJ's stuff that I don't like. I should just accidentally pour pasta sauce. Okay, if you're listening to this and you're like, polyester.
Next time you're getting frisky, Caitlin, just rip the shorts. Be like, I gotta have you now, and rip them. Because then it'll be like, wow, she's very sexy. Also, put these in the trash. And then buy him a pair of new shorts and new underwear and new socks. Because I'm like, this is...
There's so many problems here, and I don't want to trash my husband. But Costco should not be... Costco and Etsy for...
Do you know that the shorts I hated came from Costco? So did the socks.
Secondhand... it's not Etsy. What's it called? eBay, Tommy Bahama Hawaiian shirts, and Costco are the 2 main suppliers of my husband's wardrobe. And I'm like, man, it's so good you hooked me before you got into this phase.
Before you started doing this? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. A couple of days ago, I had to have a sinus procedure. We'll talk about that in the Yeah Girl. But my husband came with me to the appointment, and the outfit he chose, I was just looking at him. I was like, oh my God, this is the worst. But I was like, whatever. I'd already commented once on the outfit. Because he had like a long sleeve shirt, cargo pants, and work boots. And I was like, it's 90 degrees outside. So he put on some shorts. But they were like almost the same color as his shirt. And then ankle socks, but with the boots. So we go walk into the doctor's office, and he catches a glimpse of himself in their big glass storefront. And he's like, oh my God, what am I wearing? And I was like, dude.
You said it, not me.
You said it. But listen, ain't nobody going to come trying to steal these men away from us.
That's true.
Ain't no pretty little 20-something going to be turning his head around. She'll be like, nerd alert, when he comes through the door.
Oh, man.
It's so true. There's just I know. It's so funny because both of these guys are good-looking guys. And it's like, you are way too hot for this ridiculous get-up you've got on. All right, anyway, we digress from
improved sperm health.
Our husband's fashion.
Get the plastic
his fashion,
one step away from water bottles, away from his nuts, okay?
Just exactly. Go for cotton merino wool, cotton, linen. These are the things that you can be buying underwear out of. Okay. And just even today, if you're the gal listening and you're the one that does most of the laundry and shopping for the family, just pick his 3 worst pairs, put them in the trash, cycle in 3 better pairs, and continue to do this until he's got all good stuff. You don't have to go, break your bank on it right now. Anyway, optimizing sperm health. Okay. So avoiding the things that we know are definitely hurting sperm, even though you're like, oh, well, it only takes 1. Not really true. You need a lot of robust sperm. And even then, we don't actually have a sperm quality test. We have a semen quality, and we can see how is it looking? How is each sperm looking? Mm-hmm. We can do that. We can
look at the genetics of the sperm now. We had that cool sperm episode. It's not really a sperm quality, but it's predictive of things, and you can see improvement in it.
Exactly. We can predict some things. Like, is it shaped normal? Is it moving right? Like, we can do those kinds of things. But each individual sperm, we can't know, is all the DNA within this one sperm healthy? We can't know without destroying it and cutting it apart and like sequencing it. So when they, even if you're doing ICSI, they just say, which one of these can we make our educated guess looks like the best guy in the bunch? But it's still not a guarantee that he's got what it takes. So you've got to really optimize all of these things that we know impact sperm health before going into IVF if you want the optimal outcome. Because it's not just pick one, as long as it's alive, it's going to be fine. Far from the truth. And boy, what a heartbreak when it comes down to, if only he would have put down the Zins. Dude, one of my husband's friends, he quit all nicotine while they were trying to conceive. He told me about this like a couple weeks ago. Him and his wife were having their like going away party. And he told me how he's like, yeah, this guy was like always 2 Zins in like at all times. He quit totally for 3 months before they started trying to conceive. I was so impressed with him.
Yeah.
Nicotine is extremely addictive. Wild how addictive this stuff is. But he quit, and they didn't have any reason to believe they had fertility problems. They hadn't even tried ever. They were like newlyweds. But he just
but good for
was a fan of the pod. So he was like, all right, got to give it my best. And he did it.
Yeah. And nutrition's a huge piece, but we will refer you to every other sperm episode that we've ever done.
Definitely.
And if you haven't heard those, send your husband or your partner that way too.
Okay.
All right.
So then that
Number
leads
5.
us to our 5th point, which is going to be the most painful to hear. I think that this should be in every reproductive endocrinologist's
toolkit,
their checklist before they're willing to do IVF on any woman. I think that this is something that should be mandatory before an egg retrieval. Alas, it is invasive, expensive, and dangerous. And so
hard to find a really qualified professional.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, very difficult. Takes a lot of skill. And that is a laparoscopic endometriosis evaluation. You might be hearing this here first, because a lot of IVF places are like, oh, those endometriosis docs, they'll have you come back for surgery after surgery. This is where you go if you want to get pregnant. But the data does not lie. If you go in to IVF with endometriosis, untreated and unknown, your outcomes will not be favorable. And I have seen this be such a heartbreak so many times. I mean, sometimes it's couples that have only done 1 or 2 rounds of IVF and then discover the endometriosis and such and so forth. But I've seen couples that have been in for multiple rounds. I'm talking about edging towards the double digits of rounds of IVF. Not to mention the expense, the years of time, the cumulative effect of all these stimulation medications.
What are we going to do when we stim you? Is your endometriosis going to get better?
No.
In fact, it could make it far worse.
To that ovary that now had a bunch of holes poked in it while we got all those eggs out. Do you not think that endometriosis is going to grow on that ovary after we just poked it full of holes when there's already endometriosis all throughout the abdominal cavity? Yeah. So that's why number 5, probably the most controversial on this list, is I personally believe if you are going to go through with IVF, you need to at least get an evaluation, a laparoscopic endometriosis evaluation, and potential possible excision if the endometriosis is found before an egg retrieval.
I think Caitlin Dillon's a great example. She was, if you go back a number of episodes, she kind of won a prize to come on and pretend like she was our patient and we would treat her. There were a couple episodes, and then there was like a success episode where she came back and talked about pregnancy. But she was one of those like basically anything she was asked to do, she did perfectly, and nothing was happening. She was going, about to do a test in like Germany and do this and do that. And then she had this exploratory and treatment directed surgery.
Diagnostic and treatment.
And was pregnant like 1 or 2 cycles later, I think.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. An amazing, wonderful miracle. And your doctor's saying, oh, those, endometriosis doctors, you're going to have to keep going back for surgery after surgery. They may not be wrong, because excision surgery is not a cure for endometriosis. It doesn't mean this will never grow back and that you won't ever need further treatment, because you likely will need further treatment. I mean, I had my endometriosis excision surgery about, almost 2 years ago now.
Wow.
And before getting pregnant with this baby, was that all I did, Caitlin? Did I just go get the surgery and then come home and like eat beef jerky and cupcakes and not care? No, there was a lot of other work that I did, and medications that I used, and treatments that I underwent in order to care for my body. Now that we know this endometriosis is there, it's not a cure, but if there are untreated endometriosis lesions within your abdominal cavity, especially on the uterus, in the uterus, well, that would be adenomyosis at that point, but I digress. On the ovary, on the tube, hanging about within your body, when the medications of IVF are introduced, it causes major inflammation and issues, and we see very few eggs develop to blastocyst. This is really where you see the problem. We can see gals have a great response to the drugs and they get 29 eggs. And then we see, okay, cool, and 17 fertilized. That's already like a bit of attrition there. And then we see none of them make it to blastocyst, or none of them be genetically normal. This is what the IVF picture often looks like for someone going through IVF. Or I'll paint you another really common picture, is that endometriosis lesions are so progesterone resistant and estrogenic that we will see a breakthrough ovulation when someone is going through an IVF cycle. This means you spent $15,000 on all of these medications, went through the whole process to get ready for retrieval. Right before the retrieval, your body pops off its own natural egg anyway, rendering all of the eggs they were going to retrieve non-viable. That is another really common picture of untreated endometriosis in IVF. Absolutely heartbreaking and tragic. So it is worth your dollar, worth your time, worth your pain, worth your effort, worth your energy to get a laparoscopic endometriosis evaluation with an expert before going into an egg retrieval in IVF.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be mandatory.
Hey friends, we're taking a break from our episode to talk about one of our sponsors, and this sponsor is the PCOS app. Did you know that I made an app all about PCOS? Well, I did, and you can find so many resources in it. We have slowly moved all the resources from my PCOS Hormone Academy course over into the PCOS app, and that talks about all things PCOS topically. Like if you have acne, you can go look at the skin and acne modules and see, what does Western medicine offer? Why does this impact PCOS? What can we do about it? What are natural remedies? What are nutritional remedies? We talk about hair loss and hirsutism all through that lens, where we go through, what is it? Why is it impacted by PCOS? Or why do we need to pay more attention to this particular thing? And what can we do about it? And we provide a vast resource to help you both advocate for yourself at the doctor's office and treat yourself at home naturally. Now, the exciting thing that I want to share with you is starting in January 2025, we're starting to migrate all of the content that I have published so far on fertility into this app. I used to sell a course for $700 all about how to get pregnant with PCOS, and that is all getting moved into the app between January and March. So you can take the course
as if you enrolled in the whole thing for $10 per month. So head to your app store, whether you're on a Google Android device or an Apple device. If you type in PCOS app, you just look for that really pretty lavender flower, you'll find it. Download it and join us because you're going to get weekly recipes and all the fertility focused PCOS content that you need. It will start being uploaded under the Academy tab. So stay tuned for that. And let's get back to our episode.
Hey, it's me again, Sophia Pavia, registered dietitian nutritionist specializing in women's health, fertility, and optimal progesterone production. And I'm interrupting an episode of my own podcast to tell you about my online course called Ovulation Unlocked. So if you've been listening to our podcast episodes, you've probably heard a lot of things about basal body temperature, cervical mucus, cervical position, and tracking your fertility. Well, I have designed a 90-minute self-paced online course, which I titled Ovulation Unlocked, that puts all of that together and teaches you how to be the expert on your own fertility from home. This course is designed to put you in the driver's seat of your own fertility, not only so you can know what's going on with your body on any given day, but so that if you need medical help, you can show up to the appointment informed and ready to communicate. Too frequently, us women show up to our doctor's appointments and just say something like, "I want to have a baby." And the doctor looks at you and says, "Good for you. Stop using birth control, start taking a prenatal, come back in a year if you're not pregnant." And that's all we get. However, Ovulation Unlocked puts you in the driver's seat, puts you in control of your fertility to where if you need help, you can show up to that appointment informed and ready to communicate your needs. So if you want to become the expert on your own body and your own fertility, head on over to my Instagram bio and tap the Ovulation Unlocked link today.
You heard it here. 5 things you should deeply consider and do before you march on ahead and do IVF.
This is what we believe on the show. We are not anti-IVF. If you're going to do it, we want it to be successful. We want you to be successful in whatever avenue you're using.
Yeah.
Sure, the dream is just like passionate love and a child that comes out of that. That's everybody's dream. But that's just not the hand that many of us are dealt. That's not really what happened for Caitlin or I. We both had to do all kinds of things in order to be healthy enough to get pregnant. I mean, the list goes on. And so there may be treatments needed. This may be one of them. If you're going to do it, please consider doing these 5 things before so that this can work, so that this can be successful, so that you can be healthy and have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby and a blissful postpartum.
Amen.
Where you're just soaking up your sweet baby and you are just in awe that finally here you are.
Yeah, we want that moment for you so badly. And so ends our season closer episode. We shall move on to our Yeah Girls. And
our final Yeah Girls of the season. Listen, though, we've got some mini-sodes coming for you over the summer, springtime. We've got some best of episodes coming for you. We've got a lot more content that is still going to come. So please don't think that this is the end and your favorite podcast is just going to be over with. That is not what's happening. But I'm going to have a baby.
You are. It's going to be so
I'm
great.
I'm not going to be recording, you guys. That could be my Yeah Girl right now. As of today, I am 37 weeks pregnant. 37 weeks pregnant.
Yay.
Which means I could have my baby tonight. Oh my gosh. Speaking of which, okay. One of my friends had a baby yesterday. A surprise, unplanned home birth. And this was a gal who had a C-section with her first. She's virile petite. And the doctors told her she needed to have one with this one too because she was just too petite and couldn't fit a baby through her pelvis. This little guy came sliding out like a warm pat of butter last night.
Wow.
I don't know the whole story, but I am like, Lord, be it unto me. How amazing that I think she's, this is a gal I know from like church friends way back when. And then actually I helped her out. She actually had cancer when she was in her early 20s and had to go through chemo. And I sort of gave her a little guidance on, staying healthy while doing this. And so it was totally unknown whether she could even have children, because going through chemo and radiation can often result in fertility issues. But this is her second baby and just came sliding out. How amazing is that?
I'm so glad you heard that story going into the next few weeks.
Lord, be it unto me according to your will. That is, I've got, if you guys want to see, I can angle my camera here. You can see I've got a pile of home birth supplies here ready for this baby to come at any time. And I'm praying that this is my easiest butter baby birth too. That this baby just also slides right out. So there's 2 girls. Third girl that I promised you, the sinus thing. I mentioned it briefly in this episode. I actually had a sinus procedure this week, you guys. I've had a chronic sinus infection for
years.
All years, right? I know. And it got better, we thought. And then this pregnancy has just been one after the other. And then I got this flu a couple months ago. And from there, it just has never gone away. And the sinus that was in question, I actually had a CAT scan while pregnant. Don't recommend. But they were like, we need to look at this thing and see what the hell, because we've tried every pregnancy safe antibiotic. We've tried every kind of sinus spray and rinse and medicine, and nothing has touched it. It was just so inflamed and swelled shut that the infection would get better when I was on the antibiotics, never fully resolve. And then as soon as I would come off them, within 3 days, roaring infection is back, because there was no drainage. It was totally swelled shut. So this week, I actually had a procedure where they opened it up with a balloon. How crazy is that? They put a little tube in there and inflate it, and it crunches open the sinus. My doctor did such a brilliant job and took such great care of me. I am telling you, I have had pedicures more painful than what this was. This was so simple. And I was pretty uncomfortable when I walked out of the office. The worst pain it got to was if you ever jumped into a cold pool or lake and the water goes up your nose and you kind of have that feeling. It was like that. So not comfortable, but certainly not
terrible,
unbearable. And by the end of the day I had the procedure, I was already in less pain than I was that morning. Yeah. And now I am 48 hours out from this procedure and breathing so well. I slept so good last night. It is.
Hallelujah.
I am so thankful.
Such a
and he irrigated it, rinsed the whole thing out and suctioned it all out and everything. And he's this is going to be totally a life changer for you. And so God bless him. I was why could we not have done this so long ago?
Yeah. My girl is how well you're doing. I feel
Caitlin.
I've just been watching you have hard times,
watching me flail,
illness, just mental health things, and just being concerned about you and praying for you. And literally, I almost said to you, partway through this episode, I literally haven't seen you look this healthy, be this vibrant, be this positive, speak of your birth without tearing up in grief and fear.
I hope you're a huge part of that. You're a huge part of that.
I'm so thankful you're as healthy as you seem today. And that just makes my heart feel 10 pounds lighter. So
I'm so happy to hear that, Caitlin, because you never, when you're inside the jar, you can't read the label, and so it's am I doing better? Am I just having a good moment? Am I doing better? Because my husband even this morning was you are doing so much better. Because we've poured money into therapy, and maybe we can do an episode on that next season, or
Yeah. I
something
think once
about.
you're like on the other side of it, maybe it's time to reflect. In the moment
Yeah.
isn't so, yeah, you're still in the jar kind of.
But basically,
Way to put it.
Caitlin and my husband had like a come to Jesus where they were like, you will be seeing a therapist. Like, this is not normal. I've never seen you like this. This is not you. And this isn't just a bad day. This has been like months of watching this grow worse. And now you're in a place that's like very unhealthy. You got to do something about this. And so I've been doing things about it. And, yeah, it's in no small part because of not only Caitlin being a strong Christian mother who is praying over me every day and loving me and just constantly bringing me before the Lord, but the fact
You
that
make me cry.
she has stood up for me and told me,
These were not
I mean,
comfortable conversations.
no, uncomfortable conversations, like when a friend is a friend and is going to say to you something that might hurt your feelings or scare you or be really challenging. Like at one point, she straight up, she was like, you are not a victim. You can do things here and you need to. All of these things are treatable. Because she's like, well, why don't you go see a therapist? Well, I can't because this person didn't take my insurance. And she's like, sell your car. What, do you have a savings account? Like, what do you can't, you can live without a car.
Yes.
You could sell your washer and dryer, go to the laundromat from now on, get a couple $100 and put it towards this therapist. Like, this is, you're wilting and you have to get this together. You have to get this together. And I was like, I've seen therapists, they didn't help, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, they were dumb. Find someone better. And
you straight up had a therapist be like, you're unfixable. Like, fuck them. Sorry, our very Christian audience, but that is not true. And how dare you? I mean, I put that up there with like some of the worst things I've ever heard anyone say. Like that gal that gave you a massage that said she never had children because she had PCOS because somebody told her that. Like, who the hell are you people? Like stepping in front of someone and saying, this is your limitation.
This is your destiny. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Yeah, the lady that said that, she was a mess. I'm so glad I didn't ever try to see her anyway. But yeah, I've been seeing somebody and we've been doing some treatments that have actually been extremely difficult but effective. And I've been doing a lot of other things. Basically just got like really serious about getting ready for this birth. And this is, I'm still scared. I won't lie. There's still things that need to be overcome and ways that I'm leaning on God and hoping for him to carry me through something that feels so far beyond me.
And there will be like such deliverance in that. There will be such, even if it is as hard as your worst fear is, like him carrying through and you in your own strength and just the way he created women. I mean, it's powerful. Whether your birth is traumatic or not, usually on the other side, there's some piece of it where you're like, whoa, I did that.
You know what? A gal that helped us get this podcast started, I don't know if we ever had her on, Natalie, but anyway, she had a pretty traumatic birth with her first baby after a lot of fertility issues. And even then, she told me one of the top moments of her life that she'll remember forever was her husband saying to her, it's a girl. That they waited to find the gender and she had that moment where she got to find out while she's bleeding and being wheeled across the hospital and everything else. She had, even in that circumstance, even in a traumatic, painful circumstance, she had such a joyful, beautiful moment once her baby came. And that's something that it's like, there still can be good moments. And so even if this birth is just as hard and long or worse so than my others, I can still have that moment where I get to know who this baby is and I get to see this baby's face. Like, that's still gonna happen.
Mm.
And that can still be a really happy, joyful moment, even if some of the other moments getting there aren't that way.
Harder. Yeah.
I feel like I could go on about this forever. We need to close this
buttery
episode.
baby. I'm just so glad you're doing so much better. I know you're not like, I mean, we all wish we were just Wonder Woman and like nothing would ever faze us.
But I'm at least in a place where there can be positive talk.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't in that place for a long time.
I mean,
there was.
This is the first time I
fear.
haven't seen you cry in a really long time. Yeah, girl.
Yeah, for real. I know.
For real.
I think part of it is like I'm breathing and sleeping at night.
Sleeping, yeah, which is so important.
I think I got up to pee maybe once or twice last night versus my usual 10. Because you shift in bed and then your sinus, oh my gosh, it's hard enough this pregnant. Like, you lay this way and it makes your hip feel better, but then your back starts to hurt. So then you move that way, but now your ligament is painful. And now this is that. And now your foot is cramping. Like, add into the mix, you can only have your head in certain positions. Otherwise your sinuses are like blocked. It's like just too many. It's like Princess and the Pea situation in the bed. There's just no way to get comfortable. But thankfully, I think we've turned a corner and things are looking up. So, yeah, girl, to all of that. And Caitlin's sweet yeah, girl. Whole yeah, girl is that I'm having a yeah, girl. So this is a great season closer.
Yeah, amen. All right. Well, stay tuned for mini episodes and whatever we make next. Stay tuned. Whether it's a baby or a book or whatever, it's going to be great.
It's coming. Thanks for listening.